everybody. Welcome to Why We Love Horror. I'm John Maher, and that's the Brooks family, Abby and Aaron. How you guys doing today?
Very good.
All right. This week has been kind of like a limited release, but not really this week. In the last few weeks, we're catching up on stuff we never covered. This movie, I want to say it had a lot of buzz, but it was like an extremely limited release. It had some festival releases, I believe, and never really came around here. I'm sure if we lived in Canada, we'd have seen it because they seem to get all the cool movies. Talking about Red Rooms.
Monsieur Chevalier, vous êtes accusé de 3 chefs distincts de meurtre, outrage au cadavre et production et distribution de matériel obscène.
Mon client plaide de non coupable, monsieur le juge.
Tu sais que c'est sa fête bientôt? Dans 3 semaines, ouais. Tu penses qu'il essaie de faire un cadeau?
J'ai un petit mot à dire à ces groupies, celles qui hantent la salle d'audience à chaque jour. Ben, on vous voit.
Ludovic Chevalier est l'auteur de ces meurtres qu'il a filmés pour un auditoire prêt à payer pour voir ça en direct dans ce qu'on appelle des chambres rouges.
Je l'entends de voir si on entend ça.
Non, on l'entend jamais.
Comment tu sais ça? Une mannequin full célèbre ou genre une joueuse de poker full riche?
Il n'y a pas tant de chance au poker. Moi, c'est mon trip, là, les voir toutes perdre.
T'es evil.
Ben, c'est ça le jeu.
Le shoot est annulé. Je sais que ton brand est edgy, mais là, ça a vraiment dépassé les bornes.
Vous étiez pas au procès, vous savez pas de quoi vous parlez, vous savez rien.
Mais est-ce que vous avez vu les images tirées des vidéos de meurtre?
Fais-moi confiance. Faut pas que tu les vois, OK? C'est tout.
Tu sais, Kéliane, il y a une affaire que je comprends pas. Pourquoi t'es là, toi?
And that is Red Rooms, which I think we should probably have somebody do a little synopsis for. I mean, I'll do it unless one of you two wants to do it.
I mean, essentially, it's about a trial of a murderer and the entire kind of proceedings of the trial, and also an obsessed model / poker playing genius groupie and her obsession, true crime kind of obsession type of angle to it. And then her relationships with the people in her life and how they're affected by this. And and a lot more than I was expecting. But that's a very layman term. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I'd say like the title of the movie Red Rooms refers to I guess snuff videos on demand. And the one thing I'll say is like this movie deals with very intense subject matter, but it's not like the edgy films of the 2000s, like where they showed you everything. The beauty of this movie is kind of the fact that they don't show anything. It's just you watch people react to what they're watching. And sometimes it's the reactions and the lack of reactions that makes the movie really good. That's it. But we'll get into it. So non-spoilery comments. Abby, go ahead.
So to start, I did really like this movie a lot. I think that there is a lot in this movie that you could dissect and rewatch and look for certain details, because there's a lot of things in this movie that are not all black and white, and I do enjoy that kind of thing. And there's still some stuff at the end of this movie that I don't even know if I still fully understand. But yeah, no, right off the bat, I did really enjoy it. And like, I had heard the hype about this movie. I didn't know what it was about going into it, honestly. Like, I read the synopsis and I'm like, okay, like for some reason it's not what I was expecting, but I liked the way where they took things and how they decided to tell this kind of story about people who are obsessed with true crime, because that's such like a big, hot, like I don't want to say hot topic, but everybody loves true crime. There's like documentaries on Netflix every other week. Like it's something that's really big nowadays. So I think that this is like a really interesting and unique way for them to comment on our like fascination with it.
Yeah. I knew nothing about this movie either going in. I'd seen the buzz for a while with it. And, fortunately, I guess for us, the weekend of Halloween, Hollywood decided not a good weekend to release a horror picture. So they decided to release nothing. And we would have gone to this, but yeah, it was, this is the kind of the psychological horror that I think sometimes we recognize a little bit later as a collective community, but this is no doubt a horrific movie. And as you mentioned, the restraint in the movie makes this, I think, more the themes hit harder. I think it makes them feel more real. And it's so much more than just like, oh, the curse of being obsessed with true crime. It just goes much deeper than that. It has kind of that loneliness, internet angle to it, living your life, the empathy being evaporated from the entire world, not just this society when we're recording, but we're everywhere. It feels like empathy is becoming like just a part of like the algorithm almost, in a way where it's just like you can just kind of look at these horrific things, see these horrific videos, and there's real families involved and real people involved, and you see through the entire system of the court proceedings how it's just all kind of a sham to a theatrics, so to speak, but with real people's lives and consequences. And just like a lot of themes that, like I said to you, like Mikhail Haneke, one of my favorite directors, like this reminds me of one of his movies, but the execution is the exact opposite in a lot of ways, where it's not showing you what a lot of his movies maybe are known for, but at times he's restrained. But it's just like kind of the effect of like the osmosis effect of the violence and like so many other things. And it does just make it really, really, kind of tense as it's going and confusing and ambiguous in a good way as we get to the end, I think, which like not enough movies do.
Yeah. I would say, we have Kellyanne, who's the main character, the model, poker pro, computer hacker. Yeah, the ideal woman, really. And then there's another girl named Clementine as well. And they're both like they're more than just true crime enthusiasts, right? They're more like serial killer groupies, which when Ted Bundy was around and he was in jail, there were women writing him letters. So it's kind of like those women brought into the modern age. Mm-hmm. But we kind of find out that like Clementine really, talks the talk but can't walk the walk, because when Kellyanne shows her the actual snuff video, she just pieces out. She's like, "Oh well, I didn't realize." She was all about the glamour, but not about the life, I would say.
Yeah, it's just like, again, the dissociation from the actual events when people are obsessing about these murders, and the murder played by. I haven't seen this guy I feel like I've seen him in other things, but I don't know his name well enough, but like, I really like how they didn't have him say a single line in the movie. Like that was definitely one of the tropes immediately that's subverted from this, is that the focus is not on the killer. He's the subject of it, but there's no focus on him. He has 0 lines in the movie, which
he's been kind of like a background character in a bunch of movies. His name is Maxwell McCabe Locos.
Great casting.
Yeah.
Great casting.
Yeah.
He looks like a serial killer throughout the movie. The peers he does, like he's so noticeable without a line.
Yeah. Just gestures, and all the gestures are great. Mm-hmm. What else you got, Abby?
Well, going back to the Clementine character, I really liked the, I guess, journey they took her character on, because like right from the beginning of the movie, you automatically know where she stands with everything. With the Kellyanne character in the beginning of the movie, like I wasn't really sure where she stood. Like I knew that she was obsessed with this trial, which is why she was there, but I didn't know like in what way. Like was she trying to prove this guy's innocence? Was she there to really like prove that he did do all of it? Like, I didn't know why she was there, which they kind of touched on that in the trailer. But the Clementine character, you know why she's there. She's very outspoken. She's talking to the news people, of like professing her love for this serial killer, all of that. Like, she even goes on like calls into like a TV show where they're talking about the serial, like everybody, it seems like it's very black and white that like this guy did it. Like, there's all of this evidence, but she's just so sure that like, no, he didn't do it. Like, he is a good person. And like you said, like she really, like she can't really back it up towards the end when she sees the snuff video, and then her perspective just completely changes. And I kind of liked where that character went. She was kind of annoying at some points also, but I did like the progression that they took with that character, where, you know, just seeing her change throughout the movie also.
And I kind of like the relationship between Kellyanne and Clementine, like, with, like, you know, basically like Clementine's like homeless for the duration. Like, she's not really homeless, but when she comes to Montreal to be at the trial, she has no place to stay. So she's like sleeping on the streets with the sole purpose of being the first person in line, because there's a limited amount of seats in the courtroom. And then Kellyanne brings her up to her apartment and really goes all out, buys her a squash racket, the whole deal. And like their relationship starts out like kind of like it never like gets like crazy, like, you know, we never reach, even though we're dealing with the same topics as a lot of the edgy 2000s films, we never get there. They part basically as amicably as possible once Clementine gets sufficiently freaked out by the fact that Kellyanne's about this life. Like, she is a dark web toting, Bitcoin poker playing psychopath.
Yeah, they exist. Can confirm as a poker player, these people do exist, right down to the model part of them. All these exist. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like it does kind of like it resolves in the way, like, you know, we know during the trial like 3 girls were killed, only 2 of the snuff videos ever surfaced. It turns out the 3rd video is going to be put up for auction on the dark web, and Kellyanne enters like the Tor browser poker stars Bitcoin tournament of champions and wins like over $1 million in like one hand of poker, and then has enough money to buy the tape, and she's the sole owner of the 3rd tape. Crazy stuff. Yeah, and she watches the tape and like, no reaction pretty much.
Yeah, the tape, that kind of reminds me of the movie The Den. If you've seen that found footage classic The Den, I feel like this serial killer worked for that company, where it was like they ended up like the reveal at the end, I think it was like $99 a video or something. So like the math to keep this huge operation going from The Den. But that's a Den rant for The Den. So spoilers for The Den that no one's going to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, back to this movie. Yeah, the poker stuff, like probably like one of just my little nitpicks from my personal perspective. Poker is one of these things that anytime it's in a movie, it's going to be used in a horrible way. Like Casino Royale, like that canned the likeliness of that straight flood. Anyways, it's just, I have to get over that. That's just a personal nitpick. But the miracles of poker in movies never cease to.
I would say the hand she wins in the poker game, she's on like what? It's like she's on like a semi bluff, and she goes all in, and everybody folds.
No,
that's
I agree.
Way more realistic. Than
that's why I was So I will give it credit. It's still the miraculous like windfall. That's not how it works, but whatever. Like at least she made a semi bluff, which is a proper play on her end.
Yeah,
not just like some pocket aces bullshit. So good.
True that. All right. Any last comments before we jump over to the ratings?
No, I mean, I think, we kind of covered it all. I think in particular that poker scene, as somebody who knows nothing about poker, I thought that scene was really intense and effective. Actually, I didn't know what was happening, but I was like, oh, like, I feel like I should be worried about what's going on right now. And you're like weirdly rooting for her to like win and get this snuff film, which I feel weird when movies make me like think weird things like that. But I also I think the movie did a good job with that. It makes you feel weird things.
Oh boy, I hope this girl wins the video where they slaughter a 13-year-old.
You did.
All right, let's get down to it. I'll start. Sure, why not? I think this movie is really good. I might actually, this kind of movie, I think I might even go up on a rewatch. I think the only negative I really had about the movie is like Kellyanne character is like 1 in a billion. Like it's not that this person can't exist, but like wow, like what a very very almost too special character. But the topics of obsession with serial killers are real. So I'll go 4 out of 5 on this one. Aaron?
Yeah, I love this movie. I knew pretty early on I was going to like it at least, and it just didn't really fall through much for me as it went. I think that it's nearly a perfect movie, and there's been a lot of those this year, like 2024, not just for horror, but in general. And I would consider this a horror movie for sure. And yeah, just a few nitpicks here or there, but like it reminds me a lot of my kind of favorite movies about like the internet and obsession in general, and just like the lack of empathy and all of that kind of coming together. And it reminds me of a Haneke film, so it's got to be at least a 4. So it's a 4.5 actually out of 5 for me.
All right, and Abby?
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with everything that was said. I really enjoyed this movie, and I think it really did do an interesting new take on the like crime obsession kind of thing. I do also want to mention there's like a really good opening scene also where the lawyers are presenting their opening statements for or whatever, I don't know lawyer talk, but like they're she has this really long, like kind of drawn out, but really good monologue just about giving you all the information about this killer and all of that. I thought it was really good and like just really kind of sets the tone for the movie. But I also gave this 4.
All right. Sounds good. And as always, I mean, we're plowing through the year, but every week we do a what we watch for the Why We Love Horror Challenge. At this point, you can just follow along there. If you want to blast through 52 movies in the time remaining, you can go for that too. But it's the last 5 are lowercase r, lowercase l, capital W, lowercase d, capital I. This week, it's watch a monster movie. That's a pretty loose definition, but I think we're all kind of in the same field. Abby, what'd you watch?
Well, I started watching the movie and I didn't finish it because it's been a very long week for me. But I started watching Bram Stoker's Dracula. And from what I saw of it, I think it's kind of silly and a little bit ridiculous and probably only like a half hour in, but that would be my monster movie.
Fair enough. Aaron?
Yep, I watched Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is a very good suit. The rest of the movie is all right, especially the fellas in the movie. It was a lot of good-looking 1950s fellas with science degrees talking mean to the lady who was the only one who was smart in the movie. The actress she's great. I forgot her name. I think something Andrews, maybe Jessica Andrews or something like that. But either way, the suit was great. The rest of the movie makes me excited for the James Wan remake because it's probably gonna be like Invisible Man improvements.
I believe that. And then I guess this is a blind spot given how many movies I've seen, but I had never seen Frankenhooker until this week. Okay. I did not know it was set in New Jersey and geographically inconsistent with where they're from and what happens, but I'm going to forgive that. That's not what Ho-Hocus looks like, but I'm going to forgive that. A legendary movie that everybody should watch. I believe even Bill Murray said if you're going to watch one movie from that year, it's Frankenhooker. So I agree with Bill Murray. You should watch Frankenhooker. It's freaking great. That being said, if you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, share. Go to the Facebook group at Why We Love Horror. I'd say go to the TikTok. I don't even give a shit. Go there if you want. WWL Horror, whatever. We're focusing our stuff here and on Facebook because I'm old and they're going to be old eventually. Yeah. And that's basically that. But come to the channel. Monday is Versus. Thursdays is this. Fridays is Why We Love Horror Trivia. And we do special editions now. We're not even telling you. We're just going to drop them by surprise on you.
They're special.
Next week, I think we're going to do Heretic because
yes,
that's coming out. So We appreciate you stopping by. This has been Why We Love Horror. I'm John Maher. That's Abby Brooks, and that's Aaron Brooks. And this is another week down. See you next time.